Hi, today we discuss an interesting and important topic about which you cannot find much information: Wing Chun kicks.
There are no kicks in Wing Chun.
I discussed this topic with two different masters. On the one hand, Master Spencer Devine from the Shing Wing Chun family, which is very well known for their big variety of leg techniques within their Wing Chun system, and also with Grandmaster Donald Mack, who has been a student of Chow Tze Chun. Chow Tze Chun, a student of IP Man, was also known as the king of kicks because he was very specialized on kicking techniques. The first question I asked was, what is actually the purpose of kicks in Wing Chun?
It's a very deep question.
Of course.
So I will answer as best as I can from the experience I've had with my Sifu. And the first thing that I will say is that within my teaching, there are no kicks in Wing Chun to start with. The terminology kick itself doesn't exist. We talk about legs, we talk about footwork, we talk about leg work. So in a sense, the purpose of our leg work is specifically to work in tandem with the hand work. So our leg work and footwork has very similar labels to it as our hand work. That being said, we all know that once the leg gets lifted up, if it makes contact with a foot, that we're going to call it a kick. So for argument's sake, let's talk about kicking as a strategy is to either close the distance. We use a lot of lifting leg work to bridge a gap between yourself and your partner and close the distance. But when we're in close contact, we use our leg work for subduing and stopping your partner's leg from being lifted or put into a more advantageous position. And specifically, there's quite a lot of tripping and stomping and stamping. So in a sense, it's used as a manipulation tool when you're close in. And when you're at a distance, it's either a holding tool, so you're stopping someone from advancing specifically, or you're using it to advance forward to make sure you're covered at the bottom gates and the top gates simultaneously.
Yes. First of all, you have to know about the nature of Wing Chun kick. The nature of Wing Chun kicks, I think you may hear about that. Wing Chun is a sticky body kicking method. Sticking body means close range. When you perform the kick, you definitely distance is still like a hand-to-hand contact range. From first gauge to second gauge, even to third gauge, we still can apply kicking. Our kicks is kind of give you an unexpected attack. Kicking is stronger than arms. Then it can also, one of the role is that you can give you a stronger power so that you are, if you are a physically weaker person or your arm force or maybe your body force power is not that much strong, then you may use a kick. That's one of the role. Second, you attack me high, I attack you low. For Wing Chun's, the defending method is for the attack to your upper body, then you use arm to handle. While attack to your lower part, then you use kick with your leg. Then because use kick to neutralize kick, or to use kick to block kick. Example, that 1, 2, see, maybe the arm you can block the high, you can block the high, but the last one.
So in Wing Chun, kicks never work separately from the arms.
No, never. The feet should be paired. I think when we look at IP Man Wing Chun, when we look at the Wooden Man form, the whole point of that unification of the upper and lower part of the body is quite significant because there's not one set within that Wooden Man form that you don't apply the leverage at least, or the positioning, or a leg work is lifted and placed at the same time the hands are working. And we have specific combinations that tend to work best, that then open up to become quite limitless combinations when you start to train and apply these sorts of things in reality. It's no different than some of the more Western kickboxing ideas or the Thai kickboxing ideas. You don't start throwing your legs around and forget about your hands. It's just as important that your hands are playing a role while your legs are operating. And sometimes they complement each other in such a way that you use your hands so they don't understand or see or aware of what your legs are doing, or you use your legs so their concentration is distracted, so then you can start applying things with your hands.
There's one very interesting story about Yip Man and his confidence in Wing Chun kicks.
I remember Sifu Chow, my Sifu, said that once we had some other schools may challenge Yip Man, then Yip Man that he would accept the challenge unless kick is allowed. But at the end, I don't know what happened, that such a challenge have been cancelled. So you can see from this, you can see how confident Yip Man on our Wing Chun kick.
When we talk about Wing Chun's kicking techniques, what is actually the target?
The other people's legs. Again, it depends on the intent. If my target is to eat your space, it's the floor. So if my target is to lift a leg just to gain advantage and place it somewhere beneficial, then the target is a specific position on the floor in accordance to where you're at. So it gives me an advantage. If the leg work is making contact with your leg while I'm making that advance, then 9 times out of 10 it becomes from the knee downwards to the instep of the foot, actually. The ankle's very vulnerable. We tend not to kick the toughened parts of the body, like the upper thighs. There's no point, because they're quite tough parts of the body. Whereas the inside of the thighs or the inside of the knees, and the highest we would go, we talk a lot about your legs are never raised above the hip and stuff like that. The contradiction of that is my foot can rest on your hip, but my knee will definitely be above your hip. Okay, so the highest we would go would really be to the hip, possibly the lower parts of the body. And we used to say back in the day, if you can use your leg to go higher than that, then good luck to you. That's a special technique. Yes.
There are some old sayings about Wing Chun kicking techniques. I asked Donald Max to explain some of those, and also to explain a little more about the main principles behind Wing Chun kicks.
First, we call that 無拐不成腳. This Cantonese translation is no crutches. We do not perform kicks, which means crutches. Crutches is you for the old people that they do for helping for walking. So which means without support, we won't kick. Or another saying is no hand, no feet. We must have a contact before we do the kick. So no hand, no kick. So why we have this saying? In general, is increase the hit rate. Because if you're in long distance, you just send out a kick, then your opponent maybe get away or maybe block it, because the long distance means longer timing, that your opponent have enough time to be ready or prepare for that. But since we are close range, and also our arm is doing something, then it's being hit there. Your opponent is busy in handling your arm's attack. Well, at the same time to keep going. So the hit rate is very high. So I heard my Gulao teacher, Feng Keng, saying that Leung Jan said about the kicks that the hit rate is almost 99%. Another principle is not higher than the waist, or the kick not higher than the waist level. is for the first gate range. Well, if you're in this range, the second gate range, you cannot go too high, or even go this high is still too close. Then the kick is on below your opponent's knee. Third principle is no leaning the body, just straight. You do not see we do not telegraphing. We do not telegraph you that I want to use kick. No, boom, 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 kick, boom, like that. Using the kick like the arm.
Sticking to those principles might also lead to certain misunderstandings.
When you think about Wing Chun, when we first start developing power, is within second form in our family. Okay, we might be able to develop a lot of skill, a lot of sort of accuracies and speed and things before that, using other things. But powers really developed during the second form. And the second form, there's a subtle torque of the body that's happening for you to start generating power. And one of the most common things I see, I suppose, with people attempting to do the leg work of Wing Chun is that they've got this idea that the upper body's got to be quite fixed and not show anything. And as much as, yes, that's a very, very advanced stage of lifting your leg up and moving in without your upper body showing any signs of doing it, if you start like that, you, in a sense, can sometimes trap that upper body to not moving at all while your leg work goes, which actually gives you a false understanding of what you're doing, because the body's got to be able to move for that leg to go. You've got to have a loose kind of connection between the upper and the lower parts of the body. So that sort of, let's keep all the head dead straight, the spine straight, there's no movement before I lift the leg. It's a great end point to be at, but probably not the best starting point to be at. Because there's a lot of people, I'd suggest, may have hurt their hips or hurt their backs or strained themselves trying to accomplish that without doing some general basic Kung Fu training. And then let's start trying to apply them sort of methods into it.
So how many different kicks are there in Wing Chun?
Some people, there's a long mode saying that Wing Chun have 8 legs, then how to count it? Some people say, oh, because in the wooden dummy form, they have 4 kicks, then 4 kicks on the left, and 4 kicks on the right, then there's 8 kicks. And then some are saying, oh no, it is counted from the perspective of using different energy. For example, nailing, thrusting, something like that. There's 8 kinds of energy. Some based on applications. That's how the wooden dummy is based on applications. And from what I learned, all the kicks, the application of the kicks is from the wooden dummy form, and also 2 more kicks that were added by IP Man after Chow have opened his school. Then I counted. Wow, there are more or less 13, 16 different application of kicks.
Personally, I think the history of the leg work, it's been quite a secretive thing. It's been quite kept within specific families. We have leg work within the Li Xing and my Sifu's family. And we would talk about 8 specific legs. Where that comes from, why we've got 8, why that, I think if you look culturally and you start talking about Chinese history and influences from religion and culture and society over times and generations, the number 8 is a very famous number to predict the future. We have the 8 gate or the 8 pakwa, which in a sense, once you start doing combinations of that, it becomes quite limitless.
Because I study of the Chinese philosophy, then I tend to believe in this explanation by me. The Tai Chi gives rise to the 2 extremes, yin and yang. 2 extremes give birth to the 4 phenomenon, and then the 4 phenomenon give birth to the 8 trigrams. And 8 trigrams also represent for all things. So 8 legs means all kind of kicks, means many, unlimited, because different angle, different energy, different distance, then already have so many combinations that you can, it's countless, you may say. What is Tai Chi in terms of the kick? Give birth to yin and yang. In the forms of the kick, then when it is facing up, we have 2 kicks. This yang, this yin. And my Sifu said this is, the name of the kick is Jing Ge. Some translate it, we translate it as the fun kick, but it may mislead you to, like a karate way of fun kick. But actually, I think better use the original name, the Chinese name, don't translate it. Jing Ge. Jing, just vertical. Then this, we call Wang Ge. Now don't translate side kick, then you may mix up with the Taekwondo side kick, just horizontal. Okay, in the form of the kick is, we only have two forms, two forms. Okay, then when you turn left, that's one side, 2 extremes, 两仪, yang, yin. How to count the 8 legs, 8 different, turn left, 1, 2, turn left, 3, 4, turn right, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the 8 legs. From these 8 legs, then we talk about applications. Left hand side, first, I don't have, it depends on the which leg or which you use. Okay, I turn left, I can use 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So turn left, this 1. If I use the pose to the ground, it's also 1, but already another application. I use the shin, that's 3. Closer, sweeping kick, 4. I mean, still the same form. Turn left and use the, may say the horizontal, different part. Then we already have 4 applications. So you can count a lot. Okay, so if my angle is here, just now I turn left, then I use Ching Ge. For example, I turn left, the Ching Ge. 1, this is also the kick. Okay. From this side, then this also. All right, this. Okay. Then I turn left has the angle. But the turn, if I can have here, then this step wouldn't help me. And you understand the principle, then you can apply it. So that's why we call 8 legs, Chinese I Ching philosophy. That 8 trigrams represent all things.
But even within our family, we have a language for the 8 that I can't share, but we have an English way of talking about the 8 that's quite easy to share. Okay, and in all fairness, we'd start with 4. If you can't pick up 4 leg work, then there's no point talking about 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I think the number comes traditionally mainly from culture, and it's just something that's been adopted. There's other talk as well. Once you start using both legs, that can be a 16 kicking combination or a 16 leg work technique. But we tend to concentrate on the first 4, and then we layer that with the second. And once you start getting the awareness of the body, we build up from that foundation. And from Lee Sing's side, or our family's side of training leg work and things, there's a way that we must have a certain skill level in the body before we start attempting the more advanced things of the Wing Chun, especially within the forms. There's a lot of answers to leg and how we can train them legs within the forms, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done before you start attempting that sort of stuff. And within the family, as you know, that we have a specific plum flower wooden Man training that we do that sort of enables that connection of your arrivals of the body at one point, that then 6 joints getting fused together and being able to loosely apply in different situations. And even within that, we have the beginning and the foundations of how we're not just moving, but how we're lifting that leg to place in different places and using it as a beginning to build upon. And I think that's something that is worth looking into the history of and the research of, and it's up to us as a family to sort of have a look back in time to see where our Grandmaster Lee Sin would have possibly picked up these methods of training, because I still believe that that's something that would be very beneficial to anybody out there today that wants to practice leg work and kicking, so to speak. But always, in my view, my bit of advice to anybody that's going on that path is just to put the hard work and the time in first to get your body alive and awake before you start applying this sort of stuff, rather than thinking, oh, we don't do it this way, we don't do it that way, we've just got to do it this way, and then progressing very, very slowly with them sort of ideas. Be a little bit more open to looking outside the box and understanding what movement is and how to then start generating that with Wing Chun concepts and Wing Chun mind.
So if you like this video, leave me a like. Maybe you'd like to subscribe to this channel. In this channel are many videos about Wing Chun. Check out my playlist English video, and I hope we see each other soon at one of my next videos.